McKay, host of the Pensacola Morning News. So if I say good morning somehow or other in the process of this, I'm sure I will. You'll understand, I hope, and forgive me. This is our Headliners and Hops event, and really looking forward to this. This is going to be a lot of fun. We've got 4 guests with us tonight. We have Sheriff Bob Johnson, Santa Rosa County Sheriff. We have Todd Thomson, the President and CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. Karen Barber, Superintendent of Santa Rosa County Schools. I have to tell you that for Karen and I, this is a double dip because we had her on this morning as well, so good to see you again. And Representative Alex Andrade, District 2 of Santa Rosa County, some of it, Gulf Breeze, and then mostly Escambia, southern half plus the island. Let's hear it for our guests. So the way this is going to work, I have questions. They are designed to bring out the expertise and experience of our guests and only a little bit to embarrass them later. I tried my best to give a variety. We have a variety of ages. Alex is old enough to drink, in case you're wondering. We have a variety of experience areas, business, law enforcement, education, politics, and we have a variety of hairstyles.
Yes, we do.
Or lack thereof, so whatever. To kind of just break the ice a little bit, we know what you do now, but can we just get what did you want to be as a kid? Like, what was your thing at some point when you were younger? What did you think you were going to be? Todd looks the most deer in the headlights tonight, so I'll give him the first crack at it.
So, yeah, I wanted to be Howard Cosell. I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. I wanted to be Davis Allen. But, yeah, I mean, I was a sports nut as a kid and wanted to be on TV talking about sports.
ESPN is hiring. ESPN Pensacola is hiring.
Kenny Mayne just left, so I could jump in.
Sheriff Johnson, what did you want to be as a kid?
Well, from the first time I saw Adam 12 in the 60s, yeah, I'm old, I wanted to be a cop. And that's all I've ever been since old enough to buy bullets.
Wow. So, all right.
Boring answer, but that's it.
Dr. Barber?
Well, I'm going to disappoint you, too. Since the age of 10, I knew I wanted to be an educator, and I am.
This is going to go fast. Excellent. Outstanding. I'm looking for that great elaboration. Alex? Who is, by the way, he moonlights as a city attorney, so he is also a state representative. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do moonlight as a lawyer here in town, and I do have the privilege of representing the city of Milton, even though they're not in my house district. But when I was a kid, I wanted to be a missionary. Instead of going to the University of Florida, where I ultimately went, I wanted to go to the Wheaton College up in Illinois, sure. I ended up going to the University of Florida and meeting my wife, Jessica, who wanted to go to law school since she was a child, and I realized I probably had to make as much money as she did if I ever wanted to marry her. So that's the only reason I became a lawyer, and then how I became a politician is a longer story.
Like every even somewhat successful person I know, we all did our best to live up to our wives' irrational expectations for us, and still trying most of the time. All right, so first question, your jobs, we all have somewhat of an idea of what you do. What's the most surprising thing that people wouldn't know about your job? What's the thing that they just don't realize is true of your job? Alex is first. You got the mic.
All right, so...
And we'll stick with state representative for now, because that's kind of your capacity you're here for.
I think most people call me way worse than Alex or representative. I think the most surprising thing about my job as a state representative would be how easily people... So as a state representative, you represent your community for the most part. You have far less day-to-day interaction than a county commissioner. I represent about 180,000 people in my district. After redistricting, that'll be about the number. I didn't anticipate just how much people want to shoehorn you into one tribe, how tribalistic it is. I'm a Republican at a moderately low profile position, but I have to answer for everything a national level Republican has to say or do, and I have to answer for everything every Republican above me has to say or do. So there's no uniqueness apparently to partisan positions, which I didn't fully anticipate when I signed up for the job.
Dr. Barber, what's something surprising about being superintendent? Maybe it's surprising to you. You're only about, 7 months in the job?
7 months, yes. Not surprising to me, but maybe surprising to parents and even teachers and community members. We have 28,800 students in our school district. We have 3,100 employees. So the weight of all of those children and those employees are really on my shoulder, and so that's a pretty heavy weight. Everyone has their perspective and are really concerned about their child, and I get that. It's so personal, and they need to be. I always tell parents, you are your child's first advocate. Don't ever feel like you have to apologize for asking the hard question, for telling us about a concern, and I have to take that concern and try and meet the needs of that student and that family, but then do that in the context of 28,800 children. And then there is some control that we don't have on a local level that is on a state level, and I bet we'll talk about that later. One of those would be quarantine, of course. That's a state level decision, not school districts don't quarantine. Anyway, I'm going to pass the mic.
That weight of the CEO is kind of interesting. You know, Alex on social media kind of made a joke today. He said, so 3 CEOs walk into a bar and they asked, who let the politician in? You know, but the 3 of you are CEOs in your capacity, and that's something that he's not in that weight, especially if you've been, in other capacities. It's a new thing. Sheriff?
Well, being sheriff, you're responsible for the safety of 185,000 people, basically. And we have about 360 sworn now, and I have a jail that my jail runneth over right now. I mean, it's pretty much packed. And it's just a lot of responsibility if you take it personally, which I do. And also the officers being out there every night. The phone rings a lot at night, and you just don't want to get that call. And we've lost 2 in the line of duty in the last 8 months. So it's a heavy weight, all that pressure, I would say. And some people say, well, perfect example, Wendell Hall. I saw him the other day, and he looks better than he did when he was sheriff because he's retired. And so it's a heavy weight. It's a big burden. But, when you get elected, you understand that going in. You really do.
So I would say it's a surprise to me, and it may be surprise or not to the public, but every day is different. And you never know what phone call you're going to get, what kind of request you're going to get. We try to help out everybody, but they call us and yell at us about the bridge and think we have some power or control, or
Alex might know something about that.
Yeah. Or you name it. We try to accommodate all those folks who have questions, but sometimes we have to point them in the direction of someone else who does have the answers. But it's always every day is different, and you never know what kind of questions you're going to get.
So obviously the most significant thing that's been happening to all of us for the last year, well, here we have at least 3, right? We have the national issue of race, we have coronavirus and pandemic, and we have Sally/the bridge, which has affected all of us. Let's start with the pandemic a little bit. I know this is particularly poignant for you, Dr. Barber, but for everybody, the protocols like wearing masks has been a ever-changing target, especially recently. It's something that a lot of people didn't want to adapt to, and some didn't want to adapt away from afterwards. How did just that slice of it, how did wearing masks affect people in your field, or however you want to answer that's relevant to what you do? Todd?
Sure. From a chamber perspective, we are people, if you will. We are used to having events and being around people and seeing smiling faces. And when you can't see that smiling face, you read the eyes and you can sometimes read that smile. But, now that we're having events like this and we're able to see everyone without a mask, it's just, it feels good. And we've had some events over the last month or so, and, people are just craving that human interaction and that personal kind of touch now that we can have, and being able to see the full face and the smile is really something that people are enjoying.
I'm a big smiler, and I had talked myself into believing that people see your eyes, and then not wearing a mask and going to Walmart, the grocery store, wherever, it's just completely different. Knowing that you can smile at people and they see it and interact with them. Sheriff?
Yeah, it is. Well, with my guys and gals on the road especially, I caught a lot of flack because they would go on calls and they wouldn't wear a mask, and people would call them, your deputies aren't wearing masks. And I would have the same blanket answer. My deputies carry weapons, and they have the ability to take a life if necessary and to restrain your freedom if necessary. So they're adults, and I trust them. If they think they need to put a mask on, we issue masks. But that's their call. So I never forced it on them. And, you know, you'd see them out. Sometimes they'd have it on, sometimes they wouldn't. But as adults, I think that's incumbent upon you for your personal safety to make that judgment call. It's not something for me to force. So.
How did it, I was curious about this, how did it affect law enforcement activities, having people you interacted with, the good, the bad, and the others wearing face masks?
Yeah, well, it's problematic sometimes. I mean, because now, you know, before if you walked in a bank with a mask, they're pushing the button and we're coming. Well, now, you know, you can't, they come in with total face coverings, and it's perfectly legal. The last guy that robbed a bank in Santa Rosa County, which is a few weeks ago, thank goodness he was a genius and took a cab to the place and then took the cab home. Thank you very much for that. But he was totally covered up, so we didn't have any idea who he was until we went to his house and arrested him because of the cab thing. But so God bless him.
Dr. Barber?
Oh, sure. Well, of course, in our school districts across the state of Florida, this has been a really big and contentious issue. Our school board last July and then in September made this part of our school board policy for students to wear masks, and our employees, of course, did so as well. We changed that mandate on May the 3rd. And I can tell you that we did some surveys with folks. We did a lot of studying of this issue. And surprisingly, we have 3,100 employees. About 66% of those took a survey, and 53% of those wanted to keep the policy in place till the end of the school year. 47% said we're ready to let it go right now. We surveyed our parents, and it was the flip of that. 53% of our parents wanted the mandate removed immediately, and 43% wanted it to stay in place, or 47%, sorry. So it was a divided issue, really. Now, what's really been surprising, and our parents haven't been able to see that until this fourth 9 weeks, but kids adapt. And if you set the right tone, they adapt. And I can tell you, our employees, our teachers, our staff, our administrators, they've loved children every day since the beginning of the school year. They've been teaching them, and they have created a safe environment, and the kids have adapted. So when the mandate was rescinded on May the 3rd, we adjusted. Those that want to wear a mask can still do that, and we have some employees and some students that still do. The majority are not. And we're still trying to social distance, use hand sanitation systems. We've got air purification systems. So we're still trying to do what we need to do because the virus is still out there. Right now we have 10 students throughout our school districts, and we have 35 school campuses that are COVID positive. So we're still having to address this need. It's still a reality. But the students have adjusted, and the employees have adjusted. And we're really ready to have parents back in our schools so they can see the joy that's really been going on all year long.
Yeah, that's another part that, you know, just the lack of parents on campus in all the different ways. I mean, I remember when the announcement was you can't take your kindergartner to class for the first day last year, and that was hard for a lot of parents. Alex, how has wearing masks affected what you do?
I think it's been probably the most eye-opening experience that partisan politics has seen in decades. We've seen some states take a very different role and perspective as far as what the government's role is, right? We've seen some, states like California believe that it's the government's role to dictate people's daily lives. And what we've seen from those responses is that you cannot, under any circumstances, treat American citizens, adults, like children, because it's not going to have an effect on what's actually everyone addresses the problem. We've seen the media treat Governor DeSantis very differently than governors like Governor Cuomo in New York. And at the same time, it's been a fun constitutional exercise in explaining to constituents, why an executive order has a certain effect, or why a small business who is renting its property, its private property, can dictate masks the same way they can dictate shoes and shirts. So it's been one of the more challenging years I could imagine as a state representative. And I'll be the first to tell you that since 2018, I don't think anyone would have anticipated having a terrorist attack in their district, having a global pandemic, having a hurricane that knocks out your main artery to your economic driver, tornadoes, wildfires in between. And it started after I was elected in August of 2018 with Hurricane Michael, which didn't affect my district directly, but we were playing catch up with ever since.
Sounds like you might be the common factor here. I don't.
Yeah, you might be right, Andrew. And if I didn't have to go up on the ballot every 2 years, I'd lean more into that joke. But
see, I've got some science background. I can figure these things out.
But I mean, shoot, if you remember the checkpoints on Florida's border with Alabama, talking about what we could and could not expect other American citizens from other states to do when they come to the state, you can't turn American citizens away at a state border. That's unconstitutional. But even the most conservative of folks sometimes kind of forget what our Constitution actually requires. So being able to explain that to people has been incredible. I think there are thousands more people in Escambia County that have my personal cell phone number than I ever anticipated at this point. But I mean, every day is a new constituent calling me with a different issue and a different perspective that I get to listen to, and try and respectfully, lay out what our U.S. Constitution says, what our Florida Constitution says, what the role of the executive is and Governor DeSantis, what the role of the legislature is, and even what the role of the sheriff's deputies and school districts are. Because, I do my best because, Superintendent Barber, Sheriff Johnson, and Todd Thomson all have much bigger issues to deal with on a day-to-day basis as actual executives. While I'm not an apologist for any executive, a lot of times I do take up for them and explain what their roles actually are with constituents when they call me. So it's been a blessing to be able to engage with so many constituents. It's been an incredible constitutional exercise. And I think it's been, again, like I said, there's a reason why Governor DeSantis is the most popular governor in America right now, because even though the media has been lambasting him left, right, and center.
Some in the media. Come on,
some
brother.
Some in the media. Not 92.3, not News Radio with Andrew McKay in the mornings, but
he sounds like a sharp guy.
But I mean, when you see a governor like Governor Cuomo sending COVID positive patients back to nursing homes, resulting directly in deaths of seniors, getting praised, I forget what national awards he got, or when you see, Rebecca Jones, this fraudster here in the state of Florida, getting, ranked 40 under 40 by Forbes and one of the most bravest women in America. And Governor DeSantis just doggedly following what he believes the Constitution says and public policy says, and the data bearing out. This has been a big time for exposure for exactly what the role of government is and why a conservative, limited government approach bears out over time, despite what the media might try and tell people and fearmonger. As a
we need to take a break.
I'm holding the mic too long.
We're going to take a quick break. That's our first segment, so we'll be back in just a minute. It's Headliners and Hops. We are at O'Reilly's with a crowd. Tell them there's a crowd here. Outstanding. So come down and join us. We'll be here till about 7 o'clock. Of course, you can listen on the radio. I'm Andrew McKay. It's NewsRadio 92.3 and AM 1620. Hey, this is Andrew McKay on NewsRadio 92.3 and AM 1620. We are live, Headliners and Hops, at O'Reilly's on Palafox, where, by the way, they have Summer Brewfest. Summer will officially be here soon, so come kick off the season right with Summer Brewfest. O'Reilly's will be sampling some of the best craft beers available. Davis, where's my craft beer? Admission fee to the event is $20 in advance. He said free beer. Admission fee to the event is $20 in advance, and we'll have access to all the great beers that are offered. We have a wonderful panel of guests with us here. We have Sheriff Bob Johnson, Santa Rosa County, Karen Barber, who is the Superintendent of Santa Rosa County, the CEO and President of the Greater Pensacola Chamber, Todd Thomson, and Representative Alex Andrade, who has now forfeit his time for the next 3 questions. All right, so easy question. This should be a simple one to answer. Who do I want to start with first on this one? I have a particular... I'll go easy. I'll make it Todd first. So move the mic on down. Now, Alex mentioned it a couple of times in passing. I gave him a little bit of trouble. Media, some media. Do you think media, however you want to answer it, covers your field of endeavor and your office fairly? Todd?
Locally, I would say absolutely. Yeah, I mean, very fair, always willing to let us talk to them and give our side of the story. And, I think local media tends to be a little more supportive just because they are local and they understand and, they want to be supportive. But, I've always felt that our local media gives us a fair shake and, they want to get to the truth. They want to get the full story. But, always gives us the opportunity to tell our side of it.
Sheriff? I know a lot of times media gets a bad rap. The question is, do you feel like media covers your office fairly?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I had the chance. My first month, we had a serial killer. And a brand new sheriff, and I had CNN, BBC, Australian news, everybody, German news, everybody was in my parking lot. And I can tell you, that taught me how great the local news is here in Pensacola, because they give you a fair shake. And if you say something, they'll put it verbatim usually out there. It's not that way with the national news, and it's not that way with overseas news. They're going to pick and cherry pick and go, oh, he said that, but that's put that to the side, and they'll put out stuff. And I remember seeing stuff on BBC going, what? I'm getting phone calls going, did you really say that? And I'm like, no, I didn't. So they're going to make something up. CNN and the bigger companies like that, they're going to make something up if you don't say the right thing. Whereas here, Channel 3 and all the radio stations and everything here, they've always treated us very fairly.
Superintendent Barber?
This has really been a pleasant surprise for me. Not that I thought that the media didn't do a fair job with our school district before, but I've seen both radio, TV, newspaper, reporters bend over backwards to make sure they're giving accurate information. I've really appreciated that. They're also pretty patient, so there are times when they will call or email me. And by the way, I have a public information officer that will be coming on board for our school district on June the 14th, and I can't wait for her to get here. But meanwhile, the PIO is me. And so they're very patient with me when they call or email to give me the question and give me some time to get the accurate information, to either do the interview myself or to have a staff member arrange for that. So I've been really, really pleased with that. Just in this past week, we've really needed to share the good news of Santa Rosa County and reality of what's going on in our classrooms, and you all have helped me to do that. So I want to thank you for the interview this morning, Andrew. 92.3 News Radio. All right.
You sometimes will get a text from me at 7:30 in the morning.
That's
I try
right.
to be, wait a little bit, but all of them will get texts from me from time to time, and they're all very responsive. So, Alex, does media treat you fairly? Careful now.
I would say 90% of the media absolutely treats you fairly, right? So, the Pensacola News Journal, I'm giving a shout out to Annie Blanks, to Jim Little, to Jake Newby, Emma Kennedy, to y'all with you and Davis, Andrew, to Rick Outs and Jeremy Morrison. The reporters who are trying to follow some kind of ethical guidelines, I think in Northwest Florida they do an incredible job. I could do a little bit less with Andy Marlette calling me out for bringing my dog to work sometimes, and maybe forcing the PNJ to issue fact retractions from their opinion section, which I think is unheard of in most other media outlets. But the reporters here, they're hardworking, they're talented, they're earnest, and I'll never not pick up a phone call because I trust them so much. But cartoonists, not so much.
Well, as he would self-describe, idiot cartoonist. He would self-describe. He would say that. I know Andy pretty well. Workforce has suddenly become a calamity across the country, and here in Florida, certainly we're doing our best to fix it to the degree that we can, a shortage of workers. In your field of endeavor, again, it's always kind of answer however you want to, but is this a problem? How big of a problem? What have you done to adapt to it? Dr. Barber, if you want to go first.
Sure. Well, of course, the number one thing that we need to do is recruit and retain talented teachers, okay? And that's one of my number one goals, is to make sure that we make Santa Rosa County the county for teachers to come teach in the state of Florida, in the nation for that matter. Okay, we're really trying to make sure that they understand their value, they're appreciated, they're well paid, they're paid, competitively with other school districts. So that's something that we're constantly working on when it comes to school bus drivers, custodian, food service. We contract for those services, and they are, and our substitute teachers. All 4 of those contracts are struggling to make sure that they have people that can fill those positions, and they are absolutely critical to what we do. Every position that we have in our school district, whether it's a custodian, food service, bus driver, teacher, secretary, bookkeeper, they're focused on one thing: loving our kids, educating our kids, and preparing them for their future. That's the goal of everyone who works for the Santa Rosa County School District. I'd love to share with you what we are doing in workforce education for our school district, because we are preparing a very, very ready workforce. And Alex and I are working on a project together that I would love some time to share with you, some of the exciting things we're doing to get ready for that business and industry, those high-paying, relevant jobs in the Panhandle. And we've got the workforce that we are developing in Santa Rosa.
You have my number. Sheriff Johnson, workforce been an issue for you guys?
At first it was, but we came up with a plan, and basically what we do now is we advertise at all these agencies where the city hates cops, and we just hired 10 from up north that will be starting here soon, and by the end of this summer, for the first time since I've been at Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office, which was 1993 when I started, we are going to be full, and we're going to ask for more positions next year. Because all these places up there, where they're defunding the police and the murder rate's going through the roof, we're advertising up there. And we've got a great logo that Rich Lloyd came up with. It's 2 of our patrol cars parked in front of that emerald, water with the white sands, and it says, "Come live and work where other people vacation." And they're coming at us in droves because, if your city mayor or your governor hates law enforcement, like California and Illinois and a couple of places, New York, you're going to leave that, especially if you do away with qualified immunity. And New Mexico's done away with it. New York has done away with it. California's about to do away with it. And people have the wrong impression of qualified immunity. They think it means that a cop can do whatever he wants, you can't sue him. And that's just not the case. It protects a cop from doing an action that a reasonable other officer would do. It protects him from being sued. So if you don't have qualified immunity, and you do something as an officer, you can be sued. Your house can be taken from you if you own it, your car. They can raid your bank account. And so do you want a cop having to make that decision, split-second decision, and go, somebody could die if you take away qualified immunity, but they don't get it. But they're going to get it, because I guarantee you in a year you're going to start seeing refund the police up there because they're not going to survive it.
And you just swore in 3 deputies today, right?
I did.
So,
yeah.
excellent.
Or yesterday. Yep, sure did.
Todd Thomson?
So I'm probably going to steal a little of Alex's thunder here, but the private sector can't be competing with government. It is not fair for the government to pay people basically to stay home and not work. What the feds have done, and thank you, Governor DeSantis, for waiving the $300 a week unemployment. That it'll still be another month, but go out to a restaurant on a weekend, and folks, please tip your wait staff tonight, anytime you're out. These people, they are understaffed. They are working so hard. Please, support them. I tried to go to Fish House the other day on a Saturday, middle of the afternoon, like 3:00. It was a 45-minute wait because, one, it's great because people are out, but it's also because they just, they're short-staffed and it's very difficult. So, fortunately, that's going to change here in Florida. It's still going to be another month, but it's at the chamber, we're here to support businesses and make sure that if you have jobs, send them to us, let us know about them, and we'll post them. We have a Facebook site, Pensacola Now Hiring, that you can post. Any business can, but it's just very difficult when you're having to compete with the government.
And by the way, not everybody has to answer every question. If you want to pass on one or don't want to add to it, that's fine too. Alex, did you want to say anything about that, or you're good? It's up to you.
I was going to say I'm the only one up here that's not an executive. So, I'm appreciate the Governor DeSantis, made that decision with Dane Eagle, the Department of Economic Opportunity, and it is always fun listening to folks in very different positions than I am, employing far more people than I do.
And if you're just joining us, listening in your car or at home, we're at Headliners and Hops at O'Reilly's on Palafox. We'll be here till 7 o'clock. You can still come down and hang out and have a beer and celebrate the fact that we're open and free in the state of Florida. Similar related question, we are attracting a massive amount of people here to the Panhandle. It had been happening already before the pandemic. People were coming here and buying homes and prices were going up and up. Now, even more so. How has the influx of people and the attendant results of that, whether it's inflation of house prices or roads and infrastructure due to excess cars or schools bursting at the seams, even more than they were already bursting at the seams before, how has the sudden influx of population affected what you do or how you do it? Dr. Barber?
We're building schools. We're absolutely building schools. We have East Bay K-8 will open up in the Navarre area this August, and it is a beautiful, beautiful school campus. The first school campus of its kind in our county that is actually a second story. The other problem that we have, we love growth. We want to educate any student who comes to our school district, but property is at a premium, and it is a rare commodity, especially in the south end of our county. So we built a 2-story school because of the limited real estate out there. We have another 2-story K-8 school that will open up in the Pace area in the fall of 2023. We have plans for another high school north of Pace, another high school in the south end of our county that we're very excited about. The building out in the East Milton area is incredible. That is really, people will be surprised, and I was too, that is the area with the most growth right now. So there's some property out there that we're looking at, as well as another one that's north of Milton. So we are constitutionally required to educate children, so we have got to stay ahead of that. So our schools are very crowded right now, but we're going to see some relief come to our South End schools with the opening of East Bay K-8, but we've got to keep going. It's going to be a really, really busy, probably the next 4 years with growth and building in our county, because we want to be ready. We want to be ready, and we want to be able to attract families, and I want them to be in schools where they know that education is a real priority.
And I imagine, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine that the problem is not there's 20% more everywhere, but there's 1% more here and 50% more here.
That's correct. Yeah, we've got some real pockets of growth, but it is heading north. It is really heading north of Pace, and so there are beautiful homes out there. You have families coming from all over, and families coming because they know the quality of education that Santa Rosa County Public School District provides to students, and when we're very proud of that. And come on, we're ready.
Sheriff Johnson, how has the sudden influx of people affected what you do?
Well, my jail's full, so that's one thing.
More people, more problems, right?
Well, yeah, because all the people that come here are not upstanding citizens. The majority of them are, but you always get that pocket of people that you're going to deal with. So yeah, it's we're going to have to ask for more officers. Right now, we are at 1.2 or 1.3 officers per 1,000. The state average is 2.2. So we're going to ask for more officers next year. And luckily, we've got great officers on the road. They work hard. And last year, we just got the FDLE numbers. We were down 10%. So they're doing a great job. And that's another reason people are coming to Santa Rosa County, because I think out of 67 counties, I think last time I checked, we're 59th in crime. So it's a safe place. All A schools or A+ schools, and people flock to that. So I do tell the people who come down from up north, though, don't vote like you did up there, or you're going to end up with the same state. So I always have to do that little
I may have said
speech.
that myself a few times, yeah.
Yeah. So just keep your voting habits up there, but welcome.
Vote for the people who made the results you wanted to move to enjoy.
What made it attractive in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So, I would just say, and I think it's a combination of people moving into the area and what happened with COVID. I think you're seeing a lot more entrepreneurs. You're seeing a lot more small businesses that are started. People want to be their own boss. And that's what we're trying to encourage at the Chamber. And we have a good ecosystem that's developing here in the community between what SCI is doing and DC Reeves and UWF.
Studer Community Institute. For people who
Yes,
don't
I'm
know.
sorry, Studer Community Institute. So, that's what we're seeing. And people, again, have that hunger to network and meet people. And so we're trying to provide those opportunities at the Chamber. I think it's all about connections, making sure people know the resources, they know the people who they need to talk to be successful. And, that's what we're seeing on our end.
When and feel free, whoever wants to answer it, Alex or Todd, probably most naturally, but we always work to attract people. And then sometimes we realize we did it too good, and that creates problems, stresses in a variety of different ways. And if I say the word inflation, people think I'm talking about the price of things, but just the way inflation works, that kind of aggregate demand encountering limited supply and how that displaces products and services in the marketplace. Are we growing too much? I mean, are we really starting to see real problems because of the growth, or is it, we can handle this?
I mean, I don't like to call them problems.
Okay.
But, the real estate market is white hot. I mean, people are, they're moving into the area. Someone told me the other day they were looking for a rental, and there were like 16 rentals in the entire county. Very difficult, and they're, very well priced. So, housing is an issue. There's no question, and that is, due to growth. And I mean, I know the home builders are out there, with new communities that are coming online, but it takes time. And then again, like you said, you have to have that infrastructure in place, the schools, the roads, everything that goes with it. So, I'd rather be in this situation where we're growing and things are good, as opposed to communities that are losing people and, have empty houses and empty buildings. So, it's a challenge, but I think we're up to it, and I'm optimistic for the future.
Alex, any thoughts?
No, we're not growing too much. And I think this is a perfect example.
He just waved me off, by the way, for those listening on the
No,
radio.
I'm just.
He waved it off like a silly question.
I know Andrade sounds Italian. I probably play up the hand gestures too much. But people always talk about economic development. And for the longest time, especially here in Northwest Florida, we talked about if you build it, they will come. If you build this road to nowhere, they will come. If you build this office park, they will come. People are coming because of good government policies. People are coming because Florida is the freest state in the country, because they feel comfortable here. They want to come to this quality of place. People aren't coming, with all their stuff loaded up in their cars with nowhere to go and no job available to them, right? So it's our responsibility now to keep fostering that quality of place, to remember what our key wins were, that we're bringing 1,000 people almost every single day to the state of Florida. So we have to focus on our environment. We have to make sure that our water quality is improving. We have to make sure that, people, the character of communities is staying intact, and we have to foster that. We don't have to, and there were successes in that traditional kind of economic development model. I mean, Navy Federal came because of that economic development model. But large businesses aren't going to come here if there's no population to employ. So this is a blessing right now to harness this organic growth. And I mean, this is nothing but a blessing so long as the people that you put in positions to make decisions, like our county commissioners, our city council people, our state legislators, our law enforcement, our educators, are making those decisions in recognition of that. And I think you have a great example of 3 people up here that are focused on that right now. I like to think that I try and focus on that as well. And I think that this is an opportunity to pat ourselves in the back and to keep, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think that this is an opportunity to say, good job, guys.
We'll take it. So I'm Andrew McKay. I host the Pensacola Morning News. We're here at Headliners and Hops at O'Reilly's on Palafox. We've got Todd Thomson from the Pensacola Chamber. We've got Sheriff Bob Johnson, Karen Barber, Superintendent of Santa Rosa Schools, and Alex Andrade, State Representative. We're going to take a quick time out, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. And we are back on NewsRadio 92.3 and AM 1620 at O'Reilly's. The magic of radio. 10 seconds ago, I told them to be loud, and they were. Well done, guys. Way to take coaching. I'm Andrew McKay. This is Headliners and Hops. We have a couple of local newsmakers, is what the industry calls them, people who we look to for quotes and interviews, who are leaders in our community. Todd Thomson from the Pensacola Chamber, Alex Andrade, State Representative. Superintendent Barber and Sheriff Johnson, both from Santa Rosa County. And by the way, I just learned myself, I'm going to have to take advantage of this. It is happy hour right now, Monday through Friday, 4 to 7. Wine, beer, and well drinks are all BOGO. Buy one, get one free. So if you come down to O'Reilly's, and we'll be here till 7. Hope you come out and join us. All right, where were we in all of this? Okay, the bridge. The over-under, the when will it, when won't it? Alex, Andrade, what, I think you and I talk pretty much like every day through text somehow or other about this topic. My money's on Friday morning. What do you think?
I'm hopeful that Friday morning is the case. My bet right now, if I were to bet, would be 10 a.m. by Friday. It's drivable right now. They're just making some safety improvements. So any rumor about it being delayed till December is just flat wrong. But yeah, Friday at 10.
So, and we're going to have 2 lanes only. Care to take a guess on when we'll have full 4-lane functionality?
First or second week in July.
So that will be soon. Okay, okay. Now, the question is a little bit different for the rest of you since you're not, tied into FDOT with your history or necessarily, but how has the bridge outage affected what you do? Particularly, I know employees is an issue for all of you, but Dr. Barber, how has the bridge outage affected Santa Rosa schools?
Yeah. Number one, we have employees that live in Escambia County and use the 3 Mile Bridge, and they're now having to drive, of course, all the way around. The traffic going on Garcon Point and Avalon, both northbound and southbound, is so clogged and slow. And so, it's affecting the quality of life of my teachers, of my administrators, of our other employees. They're adding 2 hours of commute time on. Even those that live in, let's say, Milton, but teaching on the south end of our county, are driving an extra 45 minutes to get to and from work. And so that takes a toll on the family. It really changes the routine of families. It cuts down on homework time. It cuts down on meal time. And so, yeah, it's really affected our employees. We'll be really relieved. And, in the meantime, it's a safety issue as well. And so, there are times when, and then, of course, we had our gas shortage recently. So that's really changed some of the events that we wanted to have this 4th 9 weeks. That we haven't been able to have with our families, the gas shortage, plus just I'm holding my breath, and I hope, Alex, you're right, because we have graduations at the Bay Center on June the 5th, and I know our families from the Navarre community and the Gulf Breeze community want to be able to take that bridge to get to the Bay Center. So, yeah.
Has it affected school bus routes also? The problems on 98, the problems on Avalon?
Certainly. It's created congestion on all of those arteries that feed into 98 and 90 and Avalon, and sure, it certainly has. And we're just trying to be patient, wait out get through the pandemic, get through the opening of the bridge, have a good summer, and come back with the bridge fully open and no restrictions. Yeah.
I'll take it. Sheriff Johnson, you've learned a couple of new words related to traffic in the last 7 months or so.
Yeah, but I can't say them here. But yes, I have. And we put a detail out there, and Rich Lloyd just told me before we got here that so far in the last 60 days, we've conducted 560 traffic stops. So 560 traffic stops around that bridge because people are just driving like they have totally lost their mind. And if everybody would just understand, hey, everybody is being delayed and act like normal adults, we wouldn't have had the fatalities that we've had on that bridge. But people are passing on a no passing bridge, and once you get in that lane and you're passing, it's backed up traffic. You can't get back in the other lane. So they run in head on into people and they're killing people. So we put guys out there. FHP has had officers out there, and we have done a lot of traffic stops. And hopefully, since then, in the last 60 days, we haven't had a fatality out there. And I would like to think that's because of our officers and FHP out there aggressively enforcing the traffic laws.
And hopefully people have gotten a little smarter, too. Hopefully. Todd, Thomson?
So, specifically at the chamber, we have 2 employees that live in South Santa Rosa County. So when, and they don't have to come in every day. It just doesn't make sense, but you lose that manpower. And I think we've had 5 events in the last 2 weeks, and they had to spend 10 hours in traffic each way to get to those events. So
How bad is it really for
What do
the
you-
beach and Gulf Breeze and downtown Pensacola because the bridge is out? Not just for the chamber itself, but for the businesses and all.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. I mean, you don't get, that flow that would just, hey, I want to stop at this store or this restaurant, or, because they're having to go around. And, you don't get that traffic flow. I mean, I was in Gulf Breeze yesterday, and, I wanted to go into proper, and, it was around lunchtime, and there was some good, Chick-fil-A was full, as usual, but, but it's just not the same. If someone going to the beach, they might see Interlight and say, "Oh, looks like a cool shop. I want to stop here and get some beach stuff before I go get on the beach." So, yeah, and those restaurants on Gregory, are not seeing the numbers that they saw pre-Sally. So, yeah, I mean it's having a significant impact on those businesses, and obviously getting the bridge open is going to help. And now we're at the Memorial Day, so really need it open and get it going.
Do you have we seen? And pardon me for not knowing, but have we seen a lot of businesses actually go out? Have more of them just cut back? What's kind of been the general reaction? The ones that have been affected the most?
I would say most businesses have been nimble and been able to adjust, whether it's their hours or number of employees working to, just to try to stay open. Some have obviously shut down and said, we'll come back when, the bridge is open again. Some have shut down forever because they just couldn't make it. And I hope those businesses are successful with their lawsuits against Skanska, because it is their fault. They did this. But our membership is down because, we've lost businesses that were impacted through COVID and the bridge.
And Alex, just one follow-up. I know I get asked this a lot, so I'll give you a chance to answer it for people. The other question we get past the when will the bridge open, when will 4 lanes be open, what will all that mean, is the tolls. And again, as you mentioned earlier, you are not the governor's office, but you always get asked to represent the views of the administration. Every time I've ever talked to you, you've always said that the promise was until there's 4 lanes on the bridge, open and functional, no tolls on Garcon Point. And even though it's 30 days at a time, drip, 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 that's still the expectation, is until there's all 4 lanes open?
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, and so Governor DeSantis visited Escambia County right after Hurricane Sally, and that was the first question I asked: is Garcon Point, is that toll going to remain lifted? We don't have a bridge, Governor. He committed then. I was shared it on Facebook. Made sure everybody was aware of that. It's important to note that Skanska's maintenance of traffic provision in their contract continues to levy a liquidated damages provision of $35,000 a day on them on that contract until they have full 4 lanes back on 3 Mile Bridge. So we are still levying $35,000 a day, which is more than how much revenue the Garcon Point toll actually generates per day. Additionally, if we raise that toll right now, you're driving all of that traffic from one 2-lane bridge to another 2-lane bridge and not alleviating a single thing in the process. So my understanding from DOT, from the metrics and the common sense point of view, from the fact that financially, at least on the books, we have this fine still being levied against Skanska, and from the fact that this would create riots and pitchforks in the community, that toll is going to remain lifted until we get full 4 lanes back on 3 Mile Bridge.
I will take it. We are just about out of time for this hour. Yeah, we'll take that as well, for sure. We're here at O'Reilly's on Palafox. I'm Andrew McKay, host of the Pensacola Morning News, and we'll be back with the second hour here in just a moment. We might even change up the seating order. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. It's going to be crazy. But come down and join us. We'll be back in a minute. So 4 here on NewsRadio 92.3, AM 1620. We are at Headliners and Hops, downtown Pensacola on Palafox at O'Reilly's with a live audience with us. Mostly alive. That's good. That's good. By the way, this weekend, all active and retired service members get a free Budweiser with military ID at O'Reilly's. Thank you for your service. And we have several panelists with us tonight, and I love asking questions I don't know the answers to, because that's when you learn something. And I wanted to make sure to get this question in. It's a hard one, but that's okay. A couple of years ago, we used to do, and we still might do, the annual review on WSRE, where I would get together with a couple of other journalists and we would talk about the stories and what we thought. And one of the narratives from maybe 2 years ago, I think it was how citizen engagement has really increased and people were really making a difference in local government by showing up and basically protesting in a lawful way inside the chambers and getting things done as a good thing. The last year, what was sort of citizen advocacy seems to have boiled over into exuberance, sometimes verging on rage. It's been a lot. I'm not talking about race-related things. I'm talking about in Santa Rosa and Escambia County. And so the question is, on a variety of policy positions, how do you think we're doing as a community, and how healthy is our democracy right now? And you can feel free to just comment locally. Your thoughts, wide open forum, whoever wants to start first. Sheriff Johnson?
Okay, I will say this. By watching the county commission meetings and some of the other stuff that's going on, I think there's a select few people that take the First Amendment a little wrong. They think First Amendment means they can say whatever they want for how long they want and to anybody they want, and it doesn't quite work that way. The First Amendment is great, and you do have free speech, but you can't infringe on other people's rights when you're doing that. So I don't think everybody in Santa Rosa County has that viewpoint, but, I served in the military. My dad was in the military for 33 years, and we talked a lot about the Constitution and how you do have rights, but that does not give you the right to infringe on other people's rights. So... And it's a small portion of the county. Santa Rosa County is a great place. It's 185,000 people, and that's a small minority that get up there and scream and yell. But they're there, and they're not going anywhere. So it's just something we deal with. Next.
Dr. Barber?
Yes. That's become a challenge. I think that everyone's level of tolerance right now is pretty minimal, and that's the time when we really need to just check ourselves, be patient with each other, but model civil discourse for our kids because they're watching us. The past several board meetings have been pretty contentious, and I will say that our school board and myself, we've tried to remain respectful and listen and let each of our public forum speakers have their 3 minutes, and they're entitled to their opinions. What I've been encouraged about, because some of them have been pretty difficult. They have been. So you go home at night and just feel a little beaten up. You do. One of the things that I've been doing in the month of May, we have 35 campuses in Santa Rosa. So Teacher Appreciation Week was May 3rd through the 7th. So I've made it my goal to get to every single one of those schools and have a faculty meeting and just thank face-to-face my teachers and staff for all their dedication this year. And I will tell you that has been good for the soul, because in every single one of those meetings, I'll have teachers and staff come up and say, please tell the board, and I want you to know, Dr. Barber, thank you for your decorum, thank you for your patience and your grace, thank you under pressure for modeling what it is to have civil discourse, and to be professional as an educator. So my role as the superintendent is to really be that lead learner, but also the person who sets the bar how we behave in our county. And our teachers are doing that, our staff are doing that, and our students are doing that. And so we're going to keep focus on civil discourse, and we welcome diverging opinions, but we want to be able to hear both sides. And sometimes that hasn't happened recently, and I hope that we return to that. I want to believe that everyone who comes to our school board meetings is there for the best interest of children.
So the question was, just to kind of reframe it, how are we doing as a community, and how healthy is our democracy, at least locally, right now? Representative Andrade?
So I think this is a good opportunity, one, to point out that, yes, I am the youngest person on this panel, and I am drinking, for those on the radio, a White Claw to be age appropriate.
It's mandatory for people your age, right?
Absolutely. And it's also a good opportunity to point out that we have 3 incredible full-time public figures up here and then 1 part-time legislator up here. And I was joking on the last break with Superintendent Barber about the fact that every now and then I'll get someone calling me, yelling at me about a policy they don't understand because they haven't put the time in to try and understand that the school board is implementing. And as a part-time public figure, sometimes I yell back. My biggest criticism that I probably receive as a 31-year-old public figure is that I'm not statesmanly enough, and it is something that I constantly try and work on. But it does get frustrating when you're just sincerely trying to do a good job, and someone who has not put in the time to try and understand before forming an opinion that is vitriolic comes out and exposes their vitriol. And it's something that you know I can couch up to maturity. The fact that I'm not a full-time public figure, even though you know I do my best to always answer phone calls at any time, day or night. But I think with that increase in public engagement needs to come an increase in public accountability and public intelligence and a willingness to do research and listen. Because at this point you have two factions. It falls progressive and conservative. And we're not seeing each other as human beings at this point. And I think that we're going down a rabbit hole right now that it's going to be tough to come out of without a lot more negativity if we don't start seeing our opposite opponents as human beings again and earnestly try and listen.
Todd Thomson.
Yeah, so I get to come at this from the perspective as a non-elected official. So, yeah, and to get back to your initial point during your question, I mean, over the last decade here in Escambia County, you've seen a great increase in civic participation. You know, people are showing up to forums, people are showing up. We have Civicon where we talk about these issues, and those are great learning opportunities. Sometimes passion boils over, and that's human, and it happens. But I would rather have an engaged, passionate, maybe sometimes over-exuberant community than one that just sits back and lets whatever happens happen. So, and we, you know, a lot of the issues are stirred up, obviously, on social media when you can sit behind a keyboard and just say whatever you want and feel like you're tough. But sometimes that does spill over into the public at meetings, and that's unfortunate. I think for the most part here in Northwest Florida, we do a good job as citizens, you know, doing it the right way. But and I do appreciate these elected officials up here who do have to deal with some of those difficult phone calls and meetings where people, you know, that passion comes out. But you know, like I said, I would much rather have an engaged citizenry that, you know, at least tries to understand the issues. They bring their points of view. Than one that is not. And I think we've come a long way in the last decade.
In business, one of the implications I'm concerned about is the idea that every business that I'm going to patronize has to represent my viewpoints, as opposed to the sort of old tolerant idea of, you know, fine if we disagree, I want to buy the service. You know, that's what drives capitalism. Have you seen, I know nationally there's a lot of examples of people trying to boycott or cancel or, you know, hurt businesses that disagree with them politically. Have we seen very much of that locally? My sense is we haven't, but maybe we just haven't heard very much. Has the business community been able to keep separate from a lot of that political rancor, do you think?
Yeah, I really have not experienced that at all here in Northwest Florida. So fortunately, people, you know, they may have issues with some of the national brands that you mentioned. But locally, I have not seen or heard where someone said, I'm not going to go to X business because they support this or are against that. So again, I think it's a good testament to our citizens here.
It's a great problem not to have. Right. I'll take it that way. It's 6:15 here on NewsRadio 92.3 AM 1620. We are at O'Reilly's. We've just been joined by our news director, Cooper Banks, who's over there. Coop, say hi. Hi. That's that very burly sounding voice from the former Northwest. We went out there for a little while, is with us now on the front row, which I'd love to see. We're at O'Reilly's on Palafox. We'll be here till 7. If you want to come down and say hi, we'd love to meet you. We'll be back in just a few minutes with our panelists and more questions from me, Andrew McKay. Welcome back. We are at O'Reilly's downtown on Palafox. Woo! This is Headliners and man, I just tell you, it's good to be at events. It's good to see people's faces and just be able to smile at people and hang out. I love it. The P3 Comedy Fest will be hosting a comedy show here at downtown O'Reilly's at 9 o'clock as part of the weekend-long festival. Check out the O'Reilly's Facebook page for more information on that event and where to purchase tickets. We have our panelists with us. We have Todd Thomson from the Pensacola Greater Chamber of Commerce, or Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. The Sheriff of Santa Rosa County, Bob Johnson. Karen Barber, who is the Superintendent of Santa Rosa Schools. The Santa Rosa District School System, right? We always get the S and the D backwards for some reason. Santa Rosa. Okay, fair enough. And Alex Andrade, State Representative for District 2, which is the southern half of Escambia County, Gulf Breeze, and the island. I've saved all my hardest questions for this hour. Who's excited? All right. This is your promotional review board, Sheriff. That's what this is. Yesterday, the governor just signed a fairly sweeping effort to rein in social media platforms. Whether that survives first litigation, we'll discover. Yeah. Whether it's a good idea, we'll discover. But related to that, cell phones and social media have changed everything for all of us in all kinds of ways that none of us anticipated. I'm just kind of curious how that has affected what you do. I heard a county commissioner who I won't name today say he doesn't pay attention to Facebook. He takes emails. I could not do my job if I did that. It would be impossible for me to do that, but everybody's doing things a little bit differently. So I guess let's start with, I don't know, Alex, you're fairly active on social media. How has social media, it's because you drink White Claw.
I'm fairly active on social media, really. I would say.
Would you rather me say you're really active? Would that be better?
No, that's a part of that statesmanly critique that I always get. But I would say that there's positives and negatives, right? So during COVID, I would tell you that I had, and this is no exaggeration, I did 50 phone calls per day from my cell phone to constituents in my district in the height of COVID to make sure they had the resources they need, and they had the answers to questions that they had. I couldn't be in Tallahassee and also have my real full-time job without a smartphone, having access to both email accounts and everything. And social media is a great, cheap way to go engage with constituents, get information out there. I mean, the more followers you have on Facebook, the less I have to pay for mailers to people's homes. I can go get that information out there very quickly. So there's positives and negatives. I will tell you that engaging in substantive policy debates in the comment section of Facebook never ends well. And it's something that I would encourage politicians after me to learn from my mistakes on that topic. But no, I think technology has been a great equalizer on that topic and bringing information to people directly, and allowing people to feel like they have full access to you if you're willing to engage in certain ways. But it does come with some serious negatives. One of them being critiques about whether or not you're statesmanly enough to be in public service.
Dr. Barber, maybe it'd be easier to ask how cell phones and social media haven't changed what you do, but what...
No, they certainly have, and I think social media is a two-edged sword. It can be a great tool for communication, and our new PIO, myself, we have a school district Facebook page. Most of our schools have a school Facebook page, Twitter account. We're trying to spread the good news of Santa Rosa County and give accurate information about the great things that are going on in our school district. I haven't seen social media solve problems, though. So what I would prefer is that when a parent or a citizen has a concern or an issue, that's when you pick up the phone. That's when you make an appointment. That's when you email. And then you can have a conversation, and through conversation you reach understanding, and then you can solve the problem. But just putting the problem out there on social media or inaccurate information, I really appreciate what Alex said before, that citizens, yes, be active in your community, have high expectations for your officials, but do your homework when it comes to what the policy is and who has the power to change it or make it. I would appreciate that. So yes, we'll continue to use social media. It's a great way for us to really share the great things. But at the same time, that's not where you solve problems. That's where you just put out there, let's put the good stuff out there, and let's solve the problems, in a face-to-face meeting, where we both have an opportunity to be respectful for each other. Because I think, as you also said, it's easy to get behind that keyboard and feel anonymity, but those words hurt to somebody. And so I'd like to see more kindness in social media.
What about with the kids? I was thinking how having them be so tied in on social media platforms with each other has changed the role of educators and the school and discipline. Kind of, it's a huge topic, obviously, but how has that changed the school system?
Yeah, certainly, and we are required to provide some education to students on being safe on social media and not becoming a victim, but also how to responsibly use it. And I think it's a wonderful tool, but there's a responsible way of using it, and there's a dangerous way. So we want our students to be safe. We also want them to not feel that social media is an opportunity for them to be bullied or ridiculed, and we don't want them to develop those behaviors of putting out that vitriolic, message that can be harmful.
Sheriff Johnson, no impacts on what you do from social media at all, right?
None, zero.
Cell phones, no impact.
No, nothing at all. So I'll tell you this much. I personally don't have a Facebook page. Obviously, Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office does. I don't like, Rich will tell you, I'm what do you say?
Technophobic?
No.
Illiterate.
Yeah.
Tech challenged. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm illiterate with a computer. So I'll tell you this much. I don't like it. I don't like social media. It does serve a purpose for us. We can get info out to the citizens, and I like that part of it. Cell phones in general, when I started in law enforcement back in 1982, when you were like 11? Yeah, okay.
He was -7.
Yeah. My shoes are older than him, I think. I don't know. So it's only because I'm jealous. So, but anyways, so when I first started in '82, if somebody was filming you, you could tell because they had this big thing on their shoulder, and you could see it. Now everybody's filming with the cameras, which in a way is a good thing. I've had officers say, I don't like these people that calls filming me. And my answer is, are you doing something wrong? And they're like, well, no. Okay, well, why don't you want to be filmed? I mean, it doesn't make any difference. If you're doing the right things, saying the right things, being filmed shouldn't bother you. And they're all about to be filmed because our body cameras are coming online next week. So all the officers on the road are going to have body cameras, and it's going to be a learning curve. So technology is coming, but they're going to have to adapt, and it's just part of that. And I'm sure you got questions about that coming up. I'm sure as to why we are getting body cams, but I believe in very near future, it's going to be federally mandated. That's what I think. But so,
Yeah.
Todd Thomson.
So cell phones are ubiquitous now. I mean, they're everywhere. You're getting texts and calls at all times of the day and the night. But I will have to say, social media from a chamber perspective was something that really was just so important once the pandemic hit. We are so reliant on events and bringing people together. It was important to me once things started happening that we get accurate information to people and to businesses. And so I do need to give a shout out to Lico Crump here. I mean, we're on Facebook tonight doing this. And this is what we did for months. I'd bring in Representative Andrade. I'd bring in county commissioners. I'd bring in, nonprofits to talk about what they're doing to help get accurate information to the public. And just, we even continue to do our events. We did Gopher Club breakfasts that we, typically do at the yacht club. We did those online. We had a program that we would try to keep people informed just as something, to keep them informed, but also keep them entertained and let them know that as a chamber, we're still here. We're supporting you. So, for almost a year, we were reliant on social media to really kind of keep us afloat. And it was, yes, there's always those negative parts of it, but it was really important to us to be able to do what we could do to keep people informed.
And obviously businesses which have their own pages, they can get information out about specials or closures or anything like that. And yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think of how we would have done the pandemic without social media. And now, in some ways, it would have been good. Let's not kid ourselves. But in so many ways, we connected through social media or through Zoom or any of those kinds of devices as well. This is a hard topic, but, that's kind of why we have you guys here to talk about some of the difficult things. Today happens to be the anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. Of the significant events that took place in the last year and a half, clearly one of the top ones. Nationwide movements, protests, some mostly peaceful, sometimes not. Local things, obviously in law enforcement, a lot of changes, maybe not as much that had from just that, but had been coming for a while. How did whatever you view as happening since then change for you and the people that you oversee and work with? How has awareness of race, talk about race, and the various attendant consequences of thinking about justice and how we treat people of different ethnic backgrounds, how has that affected what you do? Anybody want to go first? Not everybody wants to raise their hand at the same time. Alex will go first. All right. Oh, Bob, Sheriff Johnson, go ahead.
Okay, so first off, when I first saw that the video of Mr. Floyd and the way he was treated after he was handcuffed, it gives all of us a black eye. It really does. It was pathetic that an officer could do that to another human being. Having said that, I think the way some of the protests have gone in Portland and things of that nature, it's not helping. It's not helping. If you want to have a peaceful protest, by all means, go ahead. But I think lumping all of us into a group like Chauvin, that guy, that's just not representative of who we are. And I could say at Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office, we have a few deadly force encounters. The last one was an unarmed man who broke in on a 70-year-old woman and attacked her. And my deputy pulls up as he's coming out the garage chasing her. They get in a fight. He tries to tase him. The guy takes his taser away, and he shoots him 4 times, kills him in the driveway. So I will tell you this. If you're in Santa Rosa County, no matter what color, no matter what religion, sexual preference, it does not matter. If an officer's arresting you and you comply, I guarantee you 100% your safety. You will not be harmed. If you resist, they're going to overcome that resistance because that's what I pay them to do. They're there to protect the citizens of Santa Rosa County. So they're going to overcome the resistance. And if it ends up killing somebody, they end up killing somebody. Sometimes that happens. Do we want to do that? There's nobody in Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office, I can tell you right now, that goes to work every day going, man, I hope I get to shoot somebody. I mean, I've been in deadly force encounters. I did 20 years on SWAT, and I'll tell you, it takes a toll. Cops get into the business to help people. Now, Mr. Chauvin, I don't know him. Obviously, he was in a bad place there, and he did what he did, and he's going to pay for it, and I'm glad he is going to pay for it. But I will tell you, you can't lump all law enforcement into that category because we're not that way. We're not. Everybody at Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office, we want to help people. That's why we got into the business. And unfortunately, every once in a while we have to kill somebody, but it's not us, it's them. That's the thing a lot of people don't understand. And you see a lot of people protesting. Perfect example, that officer who had shot the girl who was about to stab another girl. And they're vilifying him. And there was a congresswoman that said, well, kids have been fighting with knives for years. We don't need police intervention. I got nothing. I mean, how could you say that? He shot a girl that was about to try to stab a girl to death, and they're vilifying him in the press. Well, what? Yes, somebody elected her. So to me, it's like, what do you want to do? How do you fix the problem? Well, Indiana's got a great idea. There's a city in Indiana that took the guns from their resource officers because they didn't want to upset the children. I mean, Columbine, does that ring a bell? I mean, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. It's incredible the way some people react to what's going on. And less than 1% of cops, and there's a lot of us I don't know how many are in the country, less than 1%, do bad things and get arrested. We've had to arrest some of our own, and we take it seriously because it makes us all look bad if they're out there doing bad stuff. So we police our own as best we can. But I think the way that the not Santa Rosa County, but up north, the way they're looking at law enforcement, it's disgusting. And that's why we're getting full, because you're not going to stay there as a cop. If you know your upper echelon, the mayor or the governor hates your guts, you're not going to stay for that. So we welcome them down here, and it's benefiting us. So,
Alex Andrade?
I'm going to venture to guess right now, one, that no matter what I say, I'm not going to change a single person's mind on this topic because I've seen it firsthand for a year and a half. But two, we had the President of the United States at the time, President Trump. We had the governor of our state, Governor DeSantis. We had both of our sheriffs in Escambia and Santa Rosa County all denounce what happened to George Floyd. But because it was a presidential year, we had political opportunists take advantage of the situation and try and vilify one party versus the other. And suddenly the party of that wants to continue supporting our law enforcement officers, despite denouncing what happened and saying that, no, that is wrong, that's not what we stand for, that's fundamentally un-American, we're vilified. And I think you see opportunists take advantage of situations like this to further cause division and further exacerbate the problem. And to vilify a whole profession. My little brother's a police officer in a suburb of Detroit up in Michigan, and he'd come down if Florida law enforcement agencies paid him more. But he makes a lot of money in Michigan. But he's a half Jamaican like myself. Grew up in South Florida around most people that don't look like us, and every day going to work, he'd be called a racist pig murderer. And there's a rift in society when we have reporters challenging the police chief up in Minnesota a few weeks ago after calling a riot and saying, no, it was a protest. And the police chief had to point out that, no, I had an officer hit in the head with a brick. It was a riot. But we have reporters, we have institutional systems here in the United States right now buying into this false narrative that a whole profession, an honorable profession, is somehow evil, and because it benefits a narrative that some people want to take advantage of, and it's frustrating, disheartening for me, someone who wants to have sincere conversations, being told that somehow I have blood on my hands for situations like that, or a COVID response. We're sitting back seeing political opportunities take advantage of this, exacerbate a problem, play on people's fears, and lie to people. And that's why civics education, that's why education, people doing their homework, an engaged populace is all important. But we have to go back to understanding what's actually fundamentally American to get there. And at this point, we're vilifying each other and tribalizing to the point where I'm nervous for the next few years because of how no one can agree on fundamental facts. A police officer got hit in the head with a brick, and we can't all agree that it was a riot. Buildings were burned down and looted, and we can't agree that it was a riot. It's a frustrating, disheartening situation, especially because we all agreed at the outset that what happened to George Floyd was evil.
Dr. Barber?
Yes. After George Floyd was killed, you saw riots all over the United States. You didn't see them here in the Panhandle. I think you saw some peaceful protests, and that's absolutely great. That's wonderful that people are out there, grieving, sorry, really wanting to understand, to say this is wrong. But you didn't see those kind of protests here in the Panhandle, and I think we have to recognize that, that we're better than that. We really, really are. And so that gives me some hope. I also want to, recognize we live in a community that's growing. We've talked about that economic development and that growth, business and industry moving here. We are I'm here because of the Air Force. My husband and I and our 4 children moved here 24 years ago and got to Santa Rosa County and said, we're staying. Bob's not from around here either. Also Air Force. And the military is a very diverse, wonderful group of Americans coming here. So we have diversity, and now we choose how we want to treat each other. And I think it just takes us saying we're going to make a commitment. If this is the place we want to live, and if we want to continue to have that economic development, then this has to be a place where people feel safe. And that's one of the first things that people ask me when, my husband's a physician, and as working for Santa Rosa Medical Center, we meet with physicians that want to come to live in the Panhandle every day. And the first thing they want to know is, are the schools safe? Well, the schools can be a reflection of the community. So the more civil we are, and the more careful we are to make sure that that's the example we're setting for our kids, and that that's the expectation that we have for each other. The better this community is going to be. So we choose. We just need to choose carefully. And the four of us need to set good examples that we're not going to compromise our behavior. And the way that I carry myself as a school superintendent, I hope is an example for our students and our teachers and our parents. And I need to check myself every day to make sure when I walk out the door that I'm being civil, that I'm being professional, that I'm being kind. So it starts with the individual choice.
Todd?
Yeah, and I'll just echo that. It really is, up to the individual, how you treat people. We're all people, we're all human beings, we all have problems. These are challenging times, and has been very stressful. And so, sometimes you need to take a breath and just kind of, okay, it's going to be all right, and try to take the perspective of someone else who disagrees with you, and just, listen to them. I've had some challenging conversations over the last year. I've learned a lot, and I'm appreciative of those who've been willing to talk and have those difficult conversations. But it's good. Again, it's, again, having a more engaged citizenry that's willing to have those conversations. And, we're never going to get to kumbaya, perfect, everybody loves each other. It's just not, the way it's going to be. But again, if we can at least try to have civil conversations and, like you said, Superintendent, set that example as leaders, I think we're all better off for it.
Yeah, I was always raised that your job is to understand other people, and as a philosopher, to even be able to articulate their view, if possible, better than they can, because then you at least understand it. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but you have to be able to articulate it so that you can see their perspective. One of the questions, a little bit of more of a positive note maybe, what's going on in what you're doing right now that you're most proud of, or that you want to tell people? Kind of brag. Take a second and brag about something that's going on in your field right now. You want to start, Todd? You want to defer?
Somebody want to go first? Okay, I'll
Chamber
go
President
first.
Todd Thomson.
No, it's just that, thank you again to our elected leaders here in Florida. Our economy is roaring back. And, there was the doomsayers that were like, oh, we're not going to recover for years from what's happened with COVID. And, we stayed open, and our businesses were flexible, and we're able to get through COVID by, doing a number of different things. And here we are now, we're talking about a labor shortage. Mm-hmm. So, I am just very proud of this community, the way they responded and adapted. And, everything you're hearing about tourism numbers are higher than they were in 2019. With the bridge coming on, it's only going to help. I'm just very optimistic for 2021, and it's nothing that I did. We're just fortunate to be in a state where we have leaders that did the right thing. We supported those things, and like I said, I'm just very excited for the rest of the year.
Florida takes a pretty good hit as the butt of a lot of jokes in national media.
Yes, we do.
I never thought I would want to live in Florida until I lived here and saw this particular series of events in the last 2 years. Thank God I live in Florida every day. Yeah. Sheriff Johnson?
Well, I have to say I'm proud of the men and women at the Sheriff's Office. We're almost 500 strong now, and we're growing, as I said before. But they go out, and even through COVID, we lost a deputy with COVID, and we lost another one shortly thereafter to a heart attack. And I'll tell you right now, they go out, no matter what the circumstances, they do their job. They don't complain. Very rarely do I hear them complaining, and almost all the ones I talk to are happy to be doing this job. And that just that overwhelms me, because back in, I was born and raised in France. So the French police, and, it's a whole different thing when you see policing elsewhere. But here, we live in a violent country at times. Santa Rosa County is not that violent, and it's a great place to work. But at any point in time, we can lose an officer. To anything from a car wreck to the officer who had to kill the guy in the driveway. He almost got beat to death, basically, is what happened. So I'm just proud that no matter what the circumstances, they're out there, they're enforcing the law, they're being fair about it. and they just do their job without complaining. It's a great agency, and I'm so proud of them.
Dr. Barber, something you want to
Can I take the rest of the
Yeah,
time?
I was going to say, I figured you'd have a couple of things
I
to
have
say.
some great things to say. First of all, we have over 2,000 seniors who will graduate in this next week and a half, and we are so proud of them. Can you imagine? Yeah. As you know, and for them, half of their school year in a pandemic as juniors, and then as seniors, with all the restrictions that we've had, so that's just a real commitment. We feel so blessed. We had, out of our 28,800 students, over 90% of our students have been in brick and mortar, and we're so grateful to Governor DeSantis that throughout the school year, we've had 5 days a week since the beginning of the school year as an option for students in a brick and mortar. We've had some that have taken virtual education and remote, but over 90% of our kids have been face-to-face instruction, which is absolutely the most effective instruction. So I'm so proud of our teachers and staff that came to school this year with the restrictions and some of the fears before the vaccine came out, and they've taught our kids. PACE, their NJROTC program at PACE High School is the #1 outstanding unit in the nation. In the nation. What an achievement. They were also national champions for national competitions, and so they've really represented us well, as have our other NJROTC programs. At Gulf Breeze, we have an Air Force ROTC program. We've had band concerts and musicals and chorus concerts and science fairs and history fairs. We've kept teaching and learning in our school district, and our kids are thriving. They've learned to adapt, and they've learned to be flexible. And that's something that we have to celebrate too. One other thing is that we really had to learn how to teach and learn in a different way. COVID has been a hard thing. Quarantining has been a terrible thing. And yet we've had to really overcome that and make sure that we're providing those students support. So there are I could keep going, but I know I have to hand the I don't know. You had your share of time already, right? Uh-huh. We're very excited for some of our summer activities too. Workforce education in Santa Rosa County is thriving. We have over 90 middle school and high school career academies. Incredible. Laughlin Technical College and our workforce education programs, students can dual enroll while they're in high school and get their industry certification in cybersecurity, in heating and air, in construction, in biotech, and pharmacy tech, and nursing. We have incredible workforce education programs going on. And there's a project that Alex and I are working on together with the Board of County Commissioners, with the City of Milton, to create some programs next year. As you know, in Santa Rosa, we have over $50 million in Triumph dollars that we are working on bringing into Santa Rosa County, thanks to the leadership of Shannon Ogletree and his staff with economic development. So the Leonardo helicopter manufacturing contract is coming to Santa Rosa County, and we're going to create a program so that we have that workforce ready to be able to maintain those helicopters. We're working with the City of Milton on another industry certification program for water treatment plants and wastewater treatment, the first of its kind in the state of Florida. So incredible work going on right now. I'm so proud of the school district for amidst, getting through the pandemic. We have not only maintained what we're doing, but we are getting ready for an incredible, incredible future. And again, so proud of those 2,000 seniors.
Alex Andrade,
How much time do I have?
you've got -2 minutes.
Perfect. So first and foremost, like I said, I'm part-time. So the only thing that I brag on myself on is the fact that Jared Williamson and I did end up managing to get an FDLE facility program commitment from the governor's office coming into Escambia County that's going to result in actual ad valorem taxes coming to Escambia County instead of letting the state run roughshod over us. And I don't think our delegation years past could have actually gotten that done this year. I could talk in detail about that for hours, but the big thing that I'd be most proud of, and the one big blessing that I feel like I've had in my time in office, is the opportunity to see these guys in action. Todd's never mentioned the fact, and I might get choked up, that December 6th, 2019, the Chamber of Commerce stepped in and played a massive role in response to that terrorist attack in NAS Pensacola. I'm so proud of a community that's remembering the names like Joshua Watson and Cameron Walters, Muhammad Hytham, over the name of the person that actually committed that heinous act. And I'm so proud of the fact that Sheriff Johnson had the presence of mind to actually, sheriffs don't like making traffic stops. Sheriffs like going in and actually addressing danger. And the fact that Sheriff Johnson stepped up on Garcon Point these past few months, that's an incredible testament to the fact that Sheriff Johnson is an incredible leader in Santa Rosa County. And Superintendent Barber, she's right. I mean, the focus on workforce education, we got a lot of risks here in the state of Florida, even with our incredible growth with, our voters' decision to raise the minimum wage and our response to COVID-19. We're going to have a lot of workforce shortages and difficulties in the future. And the fact that we have a superintendent in Santa Rosa County who's got the foresight to start planning, to up training people, prepare them for those jobs of the future that are coming to Santa Rosa County. I'm just blessed to be here. I'm just very fortunate to serve with people like this and to see them in action every single day.
Outstanding. All right, so we're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, who knows what comes next? The lightning round. That's right. This is the time where I ask quick questions. They give quick answers, and God himself may only know what's going to happen. By the way, you can come celebrate Mardi Gras this Saturday, May 29th. Catch some beads and moon pies, enjoying featured drink specials here at O'Reilly's, $6.50 Esprit de Cru Hurricanes, $13 buckets and $5 Cacti Agave Hard Seltzers this Saturday only. I'm Andrew McKay. We'll be back in just a moment at Headliners and Hops downtown at O'Reilly's on Palafox. All right, we're back as our final segment here for Headliners and Hops at O'Reilly's on Palafox, downtown Pensacola. Hey, first of all, because running up against the 7 o'clock, I don't know for sure what time we'll have, but I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all the people who showed up. Thank you to O'Reilly's for hosting us. One last thing I want to mention for them is that you can come join the fun and festivities every weeknight here. Events and information on the O'Reilly's Facebook page. Let's give it up for O'Reilly's for hosting this thing tonight. It's perfect. All right, the lightning round. It's almost as fast as your charger, Sheriff. Almost. It's not really even close. So the trick here is you got to answer quickly. If you want to try to be funny, that's fine. It's on you. Todd goes first. I got it all figured out. Todd's first. All right. Todd Thomson is the Chamber of Pensacola Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce CEO and President. Todd, you've worked very closely in politics here in Escambia County and in Tallahassee. Which one's harder to navigate?
Tallahassee, just because there's so many more people.
Fair enough. What is your favorite recreational activity outside when you have free time?
Golf.
All right. Tell me something that you either collected in the past or have a collection of now.
I used to collect baseball cards.
When you wanted to be a sportscaster?
Yes.
Is that where you learned stats and talked about?
Absolutely. I had to memorize.
Did you ever do fake broadcasts yourself?
Sure.
Outstanding.
I'd have them lined up all across on my, living room floor when I was a kid, all like it was a baseball game.
You would tell the game. Davis does that in the breaks, by the way.
Right.
Buffalo wings, mild, medium, hot, or dear God, what have I done?
Hot.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And finally, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever worn or had as a hairstyle?
Oh, God. Well, I was a teenager in the 80s, so I had the boz.
Nice. Well done. Well done. All right. Karen Barber, Superintendent. That's it, Todd. See how easy that is? No problem. Superintendent Barber, were you ever an athlete? What sport?
No, I was never an athlete. I was a band kid. I was a nerd.
All right. What'd you play?
Trumpet.
Okay. Fair enough. And marching band?
Yes.
Outstanding. Drum corps?
No.
Okay. What was your favorite? Every teacher can answer this question. What was your favorite book or series growing up?
Oh, goodness. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, interesting. All right. Would you rather do a task by yourself or be part of a group project?
Oh, group project.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't understand you people. But that's wonderful. The world's made up of different people. What's your favorite pie?
Oh, pecan with a la mode. Yeah. Warm.
No, I need to go get some now. And had you ever pull a prank when you were a student that would include a senior prank?
Ooh. Well, I don't know it's not a prank, actually, but I told you I was a nerd. I was a band kid, and I skipped class one time in all of high school with two of my friends.
So
and guess
naughty.
where we went? The library. Yeah.
That's like a
I know.
That's like
It's
a job
embarrassing.
interview. What's your biggest flaw? My biggest flaw is I'm an overworker. I achieve too much. Well done. All right, you're done. Alex, see who I'm saving for last. Okay.
The guy with the gun.
It's not his county. I'm okay, right? Okay. Alex Andrade, are you a speed reader, and do you know how fast you read, if so?
No.
Okay, great. Aside from old school rap, what's a band which you love? What's a band you really enjoy?
Oh man. So I think Lil Wayne's the greatest rapper ever. He's not an old school rapper.
I said not rap.
You said old school rap,
fine.
and Lil Wayne's the greatest rapper alive currently.
Fair enough. All right. Anything outside the rap genre?
Yeah, absolutely. I think growing up in the mid 2000s, you had all the
Too
emo
slow.
kids. Fall Out
Tell
Boy.
me a tell me a TV show you've seen all the episodes of.
Gilmore Girls.
And
I love the banter back and forth. It's great. Rory and Lorelai, they're incredible.
Sheriff John? No. Because my next question is, what character do you identify with the most?
Rory.
Okay.
She's smart. She's hardworking. Gilmore Girls.
Board games or video games?
Board games.
Which one?
Monopoly and Scrabble.
Okay. All right. And which would you rather fight, a really mean squirrel or a really mean crow?
Ooh, crows have longer memories, so squirrel.
All right. Fair enough. Sheriff Johnson.
Okay. All righty. Yeah, this ought to be good.
Just don't say Gilmore Girls.
And trust me, that
Safe.
ain't happening. That's not happening.
What's the goofiest excuse someone ever gave you for speeding?
Had to go to the bathroom, but they passed like 9 Tom Thumbs, so it's like, wasn't that bad.
What's something you miss about not being a brand new patrol deputy?
You don't get shocked. I mean, you're not shocked anymore.
You've seen it all.
The new guys, something will happen. They're like, and you're like, dude, this is like number 14 for me. And like,
If you are caught watching a romantic comedy, is it because you wanted to or because your wife wanted to?
wife,
Figure.
Guaranteed.
Roller coaster or Ferris wheel?
roller coaster.
And you and Chip Simmons are pretty fit guys, and you have similar hairstyles. Who wins the mixed martial arts fight between you?
It wouldn't even be close. Chip would be dead. It would take like 2 seconds. Not even close. Holy, I can't believe you even asked that. That's it.
Well, we might have to see if we can arrange a charity bout. You know?
Oh, hey, let's go.
I can see it. Well, Davis, how much time do we have now? 34. Perfect time, and look at that. He's such a great producer. Hey, everybody, let's give it up to our guests. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Representative Alex Andrade, Superintendent Karen Barber, Santa Rosa Sheriff Bob Johnson, and Chamber President Todd Thomson. Folks, you've been fantastic. Thanks for joining us tonight. And thank you. I couldn't do this without a bunch of staff who make it possible. Davis put all this together. Our sales team put all this together. Lico did a great job putting all the sound together. So I appreciate it. And seriously, every morning when you make a choice to listen to us, it's humbling to think that people make that choice. So I appreciate that you guys do that. Thanks so much for listening.